session recorded. And let this session be recorded. So again, let's start again. That for educational institutions to be considered as a tax-exempt entity, first of its requirement is that it should be created or incorporated as a non-stock non-profit. When we say non-stock, there it is not owned or controlled. There's no beneficial ownership by a certain individual or group of individuals or entity. Okay? When we say entity, it may be a natural or juridical person. Alright? Walang magmamayari. Hindi pinaghahatian to ng isang grupo or isang individual. Then the educational institution should also be considered from its creation a non-profit organization. It means that any revenues or collections that the school or the education institution receive from its students should not go to personal gain or benefit of a certain individual or group or entity. Hindi siya nadidistribute as dividends. Okay? That's the first requirement. Second requirement, as provided by Section 4, Article 14 of the Constitution, is that all of its assets, okay, and revenues should be actually directly and exclusively used for educational purposes. Again, that all its revenues, assets. Pag sinabi namin revenues, according to law, it does not mean income. Revenues means collection. Okay, tuition. Okay, kasi not necessarily pag nakakolekta ka, may kita ka eh. Maaaring nakakolekta ka pero lugi ka pa. So when we say revenues, these are collections. Okay? Revenues and assets of a non-stock, non-profit educational institution should be actually, directly, and exclusively used. This is very important. Actually, directly, and exclusively used. ADE. ADE. Actually, for the third time, actually, directly, and exclusively used for educational purposes to be exempted from taxes and duties. Okay? A BIR circulation further explained what does actually, directly, and exclusively used for educational purposes means. It means to be exempted from tax. All right? Schools, revenues, collections, and its assets, paaring yung building niya, yung field niya. When we say field, yung lupa niya. And whatever property that the educational institution owns and controls should be exclusively for the benefit and purpose of education. It should not be for the purpose of personal gain of a certain individual. For example, bumili ng isang again, there's no need for us to turn on our cameras for bandwidth reasons. There's no need for us to turn on. Again, for example, a school may have bought a certain vehicle. Okay? For example, isang Toyota na van. And this Toyota van is being used by personal vehicle of the school principal. That is not exclusively, actually indirectly used for educational purposes. This is the asset of the school or the educational institution is being actually indirectly exclusively used for the personal gain of the principal, hence taxable. So kailangan for the school siya. Kailangan for the students, for the benefit of the students. In order for it to be said as a tax-exempted entity. Okay? So all revenues and assets. So what are the in fact there's a lot of taxes eh. It may be subject to VAT, may be subject to income tax. Amilyar is also a tax, yung real property taxes natin. So local government even can demand taxes from schools. But if the school uses its grounds, its real properties, actually directly and exclusively used of educational purposes, hindi pa pwedeng tungan ng amilyar yan. Hindi pa pwedeng kunin ng local government yan. Hindi rin pwedeng taksa ng BIR yan. Okay? Not only revenues and assets, Even donations made to educational institutions are exempted from taxes, provided provided that these donations are actually directly and exclusively used for educational purposes. One example, let me give you one example. Because an alumni was very happy with, kumbaga, yung kanyang alma mater. So what the alumni did is he gave a tigbil tigi isang Lexus to mga teachers niya, yung mga na naging admin na or naging director na ng school na yon. Is that a taxable donation or is it a tax exempt donation? The BIR considered it and the court later on considered it as a taxable donation. Why? Because these donations, these vehicles donated to the directors of the schools, okay, were not actually directly and exclusively used for the school's educational purposes, but it was used for the personal benefit of these administrators or directors of the school. Alright? Hence, these donations are subject to tax. So, nagkaroon ng donor's tax. Alright? So, yung mga ganun. Let me give you one clear example. Case na nangyari. This is a, I guess we call this as a landmark case in legal practice, no? A landmark case. Let me give you a summary of this case. The case is titled Commission of Internal Revenue or CIR versus De La Salle University. The commissioner at that time, as I believe, is Commissioner Kim Henares, together with the local government of Manila, they assessed taxes to the De La Salle University. At that time, 2004, De La Salle were purchasing properties around the Singalong area. O hindi pa buo nun yung malalaking building ng uh, St. Benilde, no? Tsaka yung mga malalaki nilang properties. Unti-unti pa lang nila binibili yun. Alright? So at that time, they were land massing. De La Salle, De La Salle, Manila is land massing, purchasing a lot of properties around Singalong, Manila. This has been not this gives notification from the local government of Manila that they're going to lose tax collection from from a milyar or real property taxes if all of these properties which are prime, okay, prime lots to malalaki ang assessment value to, if all of these properties are purchased by De La Salle, okay, or DLSU, they would lose a lot of sum of money from collections of real estate properties because they know that De La Salle University is a non-taxable entity. It's a non-stock, non-profit educational institution wherein all of its revenues and assets are tax exempt provided that it is actually directly exclusively used for education purposes. So along with the commissioner of BIR, the local government of Manila and BIR assessed DLSU of tax delinquency. And a contention that DLSU or De La Salle University is not a non-profit institution. That De La Salle University, because of its high prices of tuition, because of its activities, it is actually organized for a for-profit education. Kumikita daw ang DLSU. It's for profit. It's profit-oriented school. Hence, should be taxable. Yun ang sinasabi ng BIR and ng local government of Manila. One of their contention was that DLSU has purchased a dormitory wherein they rent out these dormitories to their students, and renting out dormitories involves real estate or sorry real estate activities. So, ito siya na. Sa real estate activity ng DLSU. Not on educational purposes, but for real estate purposes siya. Nagpaparente. Next is that the DLSU also has their own mini mall inside their campus. That they are renting out a portion of their campus to Apple Store, to McDonald's, to add some other kind of restaurants. Okay, branded restaurants. They have named McDonald's, Apple stores. They also have their own national bookstore inside their campus. That the local government and BIR has assessed that these are not anymore educational purposes. But they are already involved in leasing activity. Leasing, paparenta na sila, para na silang mall, para na silang SM in Ayala. Leasing na sila. Okay, so these are not educational purposes anymore. Hence, the use of their property is already taxable. Further, the BIR, or the Bureau of Internal Revenue, and the local government of Manila also contested that due to high prices beyond reasonable amount, tuition are being collected from students of high prices, unreasonable amount now, according to them, based on the standards or based from average prices of schools or institutions of their level. College level daw, sobrang mahal. Hence, they are actually for profit-oriented business. That's the contention of the BIR and the local government of Manila, contesting that DLSU should be taxable on all of its revenues and assets. However, the university contested as their defense that first, the dormitories are is a requirement for them to have students be well rested in order for these students further to have a better learning experience. If they are not rested because of their long travels, because these students are coming from provinces, and if they would not be able to have accommodation for these students, then these students would not have a good education. That's their first defense. Second, the restaurants or the leased properties, the properties that we're leasing out to restaurants and to National Bookstore and this Apple store that we have is actually for educational purposes, on the contention that we would like to provide students with quality food and quality tools that they would need for their education as well. Last, the third defense that they had set up is that the tuition that they had collected from these students may be high compared to some other institutions. But because of our quality that we provide, quality of education that we provide to students, this is well compensated. Teachers, 70%, according to their presented evidence, 70% of the tuition collected goes to the salaries of of the faculty. They even invited top conglomerate directors to be their participants in some of their programs. Hence, if we would not be able to gather these quality educators, our students would not be able to have a quality education as well. So, the Supreme Court has no other way but to decide whether or not these issues presented by the Bureau of Internal Revenues and the local government of Manila considers DLSU as a for-profit institution. And if it is a for-profit institution, it would be now considered as a taxable institution. At the end, the court has decided that DLSU or De La Salle University is still considered as a non-stock, non-profit institution. All right? Why? Because as their defense, as they had provided, the court had sided with the LSU that these activities, which may not be considered as an education purposes, but in some other connections or some other logical means or nexus, it is connected to provide a quality education for the students. It is considered by the court as an actual, direct, and exclusively use of their assets and revenues for educational purposes. So they sided with the defense of the DLSU that the dormitories that they rent that they lease out to these students, even for their varsities, for those who are from the provinces, despite of high prices, are for educational purposes. Akin to what DLSU had set up as their fence, if the students are not well rested, they would not have a quality education. Second, that the canteens, the restaurants that they had have less leased out are for also for food for the brain, according to the court. Last, this tuition as presented expressly provided that 70% goes to the faculty's salary, diba? It is a it's considered by the court, and it was appreciated by the court that none of its profit goes exclusively for the administration. In fact, 30% ang ano nga lang 30% more or less goes to administration. According to law, according to tax laws, for tax exempt entities, 30% ang threshold. If 70% goes to the faculty, 30% remains. This 30% is not exclusively for the administration. It may also be used for number one, yung sa mga janitors, maintenance, which is actually goes for education purposes as well. Diba? They also provide they would also have to the need to purchase computers, which are of high value. So the 30% remains from the tuition is actually justified as still for educational purposes. All right. So because of this case, a lot of Catholic institutions, majority of the schools here organized as non-profit and non-stop educational purposes are Catholic schools. No? So because of this case, a lot of Catholic schools who had received assessment from BIR at time was exonerated from any liability because this has been marked as a landmark case. Okay. So we might have some participants here that coming from schools now who had received tax assessment. We had a lot of clients on Estrada and Aquinalo at the time no, that they had received tax assessment despite the fact that they are non-stock non-profit institutions. The only defense is this case, okay, Commissioner of Internal Revenue versus DLSU. As long as we will be able to provide that all of the revenues and assets are actually directly and exclusively used for educational purposes, it will be tax exempted. All right. What if the school is not a non-stock non-profit? Some schools are considered as proprietary institutions. When we say proprietary institutions, it means that these are private schools
Sir,
owned by
pwede
uh,
pong paano ko
certain
mag-send.
individuals.
Okay.
Okay,
Dito lang naman sa sister.
can we request each participant to have themselves muted so that during the session hindi natin sila naririnig. Okay, so there. So when we say proprietary education institutions, these are stock corporations. Okay, these are schools that are owned by certain individuals or group of individuals. Since they are stock corporations, they are automatically also considered as a for-profit institution. So ito yung mga private schools that are owned, may shareholdings. All right? The law or the constitution also recognizes that these schools help the state policies of providing quality education to its citizens and students. So they also recognize these schools, hence provide a tax benefit. Although it is not a tax exempt, it is only a mere tax benefit. Okay? Due to before no, in 1997, prior to train law, these schools receives a 10% proprietary benefit. These proprietary institutions receive 10% income tax rate preferential rate yan because income tax is 25% of the net income. Okay, 25% at during 1997 NIRC or National Internal Revenue Code. Okay, 10% uh, preferential tax rate. They are not tax exempt, but they receive a discounted tax rate of 10%. But because of train law, it was different now. What happened after train law, no? Well, starting July 1, 2020 until June 30 of 2023, which is actually expired, tax rate was imposed to 1%. After which it will go back to 10%. Preferential preferential rate. But provided that proprietary education institutions which are non-profit shall be subject. Kailangan daw non-profit. This is a gray area of the train law. This is what we are actually contesting between me and Mr. Estrada was actually contesting when the train law has been released, no? Because previously a non-stock a stock corporation, a stock school, ibig sabihin nun may nagmamay-ari ng school. Okay? It does not require to be non-profit because kasi pag automatic naman yan by practice eh. Pag ikaw ay may-ari ng school, ba't ka ba nagtayo ng school? It is for profit as well. 'Di ba? Kahit hindi malaki ang margins mo, as long as may napupunta sa'yo as dividends or income, that is for profit. And because you have a shareholdings in the school, it is for profit, of course, by mandate of law. So you enjoy the 10%. But because of train law, okay, siningit tong non-profit, wala nag-e-enjoy nitong 10%. Wala. Because a non-stock institution is automatically a for-profit. Diba? Kaya nga nag-ari ng school, kaya nga nagtayo ng school under your name because it is supposed to be for profit. Otherwise, diba, it should have been a non-stock, non-profit institution. Anyways, because of that, we lobbied that there should be a revision on this in this provision of the train law. But what the Senate had provided is, oh, sige, on July 1 until June 30 of 2023, we look into it, we study it. But for the meantime, we provide 1% preferential rate. Okay yan. So ngayon, alam ko pinag-aaralan pa yan and there's still and there's what do you call this? Still a study on the 10% that these schools should still enjoy the 10% preferential rate. But otherwise, if it's going to be the normal corporate income tax, which is under train law, is 20%, no? Eh, malaki pa din yun. That is a 50% discount on the tax that they would have to pay. Eh, I thought the Constitution considers schools as their partners in promoting the state policy of providing quality education to students and citizens. Diba? Anyways, this is a matter that the Senate could only decide on. Senate, when we say Senate, itong Congress and the House of Representatives and Senate should be the one who has the sound discretion to decide on this matter. Hopefully, they would be able to soundly provide still a preferential rate to these schools that are considered as a stock corporation because they provide quality education pa rin naman for the students aligned with the state policy. Diba? So, yun. So, what if the school is for proprietary institution? Gross income from unrelated trade and business or other activities that exceeds 50% of the total gross income derived from such education institution, okay, shall be imposed with a ordinary income tax. So, the requirement, no, for you to enjoy the 10% preferential rate. So, expired na yung 1% natin. 10%, balik siya sa 10%. So, how do we enjoy the 10% preferential rate if we are a stock corporation? If it is a proprietary institution? First is that the 50% threshold should be maintained. What do you mean by 50% threshold? The collections, the revenues coming from educational purposes, yung tuition na nako-collect natin, okay, should be more than 50% than other unrelated trade or business. Baka yung school kasi meron siyang canteen, ayan, unrelated siya. Okay, considered pa rin pa sa proprietary. Baka sila din yung nagbebenta ng uniform. Okay? Kaya kino-consider ng tax code natin as other unrelated trade and business yan. Okay, but we are also contesting that because of CIR and CIR versus DLSU, dapat yung canteen and uniform is still considered as a for pro ano for for educational purposes eh. So but that is not the court views it eh. When it comes to proprietary institution, dapat daw non-stock non-profit para lang mag-apply yung CIR versus DLSU. But if it is a proprietary institution, pag may iba kang activities such as canteen, uniforms, mga ganyan, it may be considered as an unrelated trade and businesses as long as these unrelated trade and businesses. Okay, baka yung iba, yung school na yan, may co-op pa. Diba? Kung may mga ganyang activities at kumikita ng more than 50% the revenues compared doon sa ating tuition or sa ating educational purposes, okay, it will be now subject to ordinary income tax of 20%. So we have to be wary of this. If it is a school of proprietary institution, ibig sabihin meron nagmamayari, its related businesses, okay, should be more than 50%. Its unrelated trade and business should be not more than 50% for you to enjoy the 10% preferential rate, income tax rate. All right? So again, what do you mean by unrelated trade or business? Okay, it means any trade or business other than the activity, which is the education. Okay, conduct of which is not substantially related to the exercise or performance of educational institution. Meron kasing iba na ganito, may school sila, but the school also engages in travel agency. Doon pinapadaan kasi it's proprietary eh. Corporation siya eh. It may engage to any other activities that the owners would like. Eh, since yung school nila, meron silang travel agency. Why did the school have a travel agency? Nag-field trip kasi yung mga bata. So, so doon na-connect yung travel agency nila. That is unrelated trade and business. Sinubject tuloy sila sa tax. As long as not more than 50% of this unrelated business, okay, for the year, compared to the related business, the proprietary school shall still enjoy the 10% preferential rate. Okay? So let's go to educational community. The relationship between the institution, the faculty, and the students. How do we do that? Okay? May the school refuse admission or retention of a student because of pregnancy? I remember my mother used to tell me, no, when she was still studying, na galing siya sa Merinol. Merinol right now is called Miriam, Miriam colleges. So if one of their students is suspected to be pregnant, she's automatically at her time, during her time, they are automatically expelled from the school as if they are being abandoned by the school. No school shall accept them kapag buntis. Is that accepted in today's law? Well, in today's law, the Magna Carta of Women provided, which governs this question, that expulsion and non-readmission of women faculty or even students due to pregnancy outside of marriage shall be outlaw. Hindi na pwede. Okay? Because of purely being pregnant, expected or unexpected, such school cannot expel the faculty or the students. It is discriminating daw. This is actually for the protection of the female, of female students and faculty. No school shall turn out or refuse admission of female students solely on the account of her having contracted pregnancy outside of marriage during her term in school. In fact, dati rin, in-explain din sa amin dito sa UST. No? I could even remember sa UST. This is a Catholic institution. The head of the mga schools regulation also explained that the UST is not expulsion. It's not removing the student or not readmitting the student because of pregnancy. What UST is providing is a leave of absence. Pinagli-leave ka muna. Why? It is actually for the protection of the student and yung bata sa loob ng tiyan mo. Okay? The, the the unborn child, it's not the expulsion that is being granted. It's actually a leave of absence. That's different. Okay? If the leave of absence is being considered for the protection of the hindi expulsion na. So, ibig sabihin pag nanganak siya, next school year pumasok ka na. But not be, but it, but if it is expulsion na hindi ka na pwede mag-enroll dito sa school na to, nakakahiya ka. Ganyan. Yun ang bawal sa ating batas. Let's call on campus ministry officer. Again, can I request that everybody should rename their their actual names if it's okay. So yes, go ahead. Kindly unmute yourself. Ayan. Before ma'am, hindi po namin kayo narinig. Yes, go ahead po, ma'am.
Good afternoon po. I am Sister Myrna
Good
from St. James Academy of Malabon. This topic is
afternoon po.
very touching on my part because recently I have to share with you a very confidential experience that we have had a student who committed abortion. And I would like to ask if it is just justifiable on our part because it was stipulated on our manual that any student who is into this kind of uh, parang offenses is given a dismissal. But we, as part of the administration, we decided to accommodate the student, but gave her an option to have an online class instead of coming to school. But later, we found out that the student decided to transfer to another school.
Mhm.
I would just like to know, knowing this Magna Carta of Women, if what we have done is justifiable or morally right,
Okay.
because we are also religious at the same time, and it bothers me to consider this Magna Carta of Women that you are
Thank you.
discussing. Thank you,
Thank you
attorney.
very Thank you very much. This is sister again, sister ano po?
Sister Mirna Quijada po. I'm very sorry, but I've been
Sister.
trying to change this, but I think I need an assistance
Okay,
because I am
no
not
no no
really
no
techy.
problem. No
Yeah,
problem, no
I'm not
problem.
really techy in. I've been trying, but there is no choice of renaming my
No problem.
ano
Sige.
because somebody set this up for me, this Zoom account. So I cannot change it into
No
Campus
problem,
Ministry
sister.
Office.
No problem,
But this
sister.
is
And
really my concern, no?
sure,
Thank you so
sure.
much, attorney.
Thank you very much for the question. It is very timely. I'm actually expecting a questions in this session. Gusto ko nga sana magkaroon ng question. So let's go back to the concern of our participants here. No? We have the students explaining lang itong Magna Carta for Women that no school shall expel a student solely for the purpose of pregnancy. Tapos kung ito ang kailangan natin tandaan na pag when we talk of law, it's verbatim by the letters tayo lagi. So going back to sister's concern, a school, I'm not going to name the school and any of the students. The school had expelled a student who had participated in an abortion activity. Okay? So she has been pregnant and she have her kumbaga unborn child aborted. Okay? And then next the question is whether or not the school may expel. Let's just trim down the questions. First, pwede bang expel ng school yan? Okay, isn't it not a violation of the Magna Carta for Women? Number two, the school has policy na pag ganito, pag nabuntis, kailangan dismiss. Okay. And then later on, we'll discuss kung ano yung nangyari do sa bata mismo. So first, can a school write in its house rules, okay, sa manual, na kapag nabuntis yung bata, expulsion. Because the school, as we have discussed last time, has an academic freedom to have its own rules and regulation. So if that's the case, can the school provide that pag nabuntis, solely nabuntis lang pag nabuntis yung bata, expulsion or dismissal ang kanyang penalty? No, the school cannot have that kind of rule. Why? Because of the Magna Carta for Women, which is such rule would be in violation of the Magna Carta for Women. So if there is a conflict between the law and the administrative rules and regulation of an entity, the law will prevail. So again, pag nabuntis lang, exclusively nabuntis lang yung bata at dinismiss siya, hindi pwede yun because of the Carta for Women. However, in this situation, the student opted to have an abortion. Different ang pregnancy sa abortion. In our jurisdiction, abortion is against the law. It's a crime. Okay? Parricide yan eh. Parricide pag one day lumabas. Okay? Yung fresh na bata, pag lumabas, parricide. But yung abortion, it's also considered as a kind of a homicide and murder. Kasi walang ano, in fact, it's considered as murder eh. Yung pag-abort kasi walang defense yung bata. And then in our law, it is considered already as ano, say living sa living entity. Okay? So itong pagka-abortion, okay, it's different from pregnancy. So if the school has in its manual dismissal because of abortion, it is considered as a dismissible offense. The school has the option, it's sound discretion, whether or not to dismiss the student or to give her some other options. Okay? Dismissible offense yan. Number one, because there is a violation of a criminal law already. So, iba namang school ang gusto magkaroon ng criminal with its campus, 'di ba? But again, this is minor. And let's consider these students may have been minors. Okay? So they are not in a sense criminally offenders, no? Pero in essence, by mere technicality, they are not dismissing or expulsing the students on account of pregnancy. They are dismissing the student on the count of violation of the law, which is abortion. Okay? Now, is it moral standards or not? I cannot dwell on, I cannot deal with the moral standards kasi morality is different from each person. Eh. It is subjective. Alright? But on the eyes of the law, violation yan. Diba? Violation yan eh. So, you know, but in what have sister had shared with us generously, no? They provided an option to the student. Now, kung anong option na pinili ng student, it's not a violation on the school anymore. 'Di ba? Hindi na konsensya ng school 'yan. But as long as yan on the account kasi of abortion ang ginawa eh. That is really a violation not only of the manual but of the law. Hence, if ever the school has decided to dismiss as a capital punishment for the student, that's justifiable. But if it is only for the account of pregnancy, okay, as what we're discussing, dismissal is not an option. LOA, what do you mean by LOA? For the school year, hindi mo na, but we would admit you after the next school year or after the school year so that you would be able to provide, i-deliver mo yung bata. Kasi ang hirap naman na buntis ka, pupunta ka sa school, tapos mag-jeep ka lang or mag-tricycle ka, di ba? Mahirap. Diba? At least, lumabas na yung bata, naalaga mo yung bata for 1 year, then bumalik ka for next year. That is not dismissal. Diba? Pero option ng bata yon. But we cannot dismiss the bata solely for the purpose of pregnancy. Pero ito, in this case, abortion, that's a different story. That's already a violation of law. Alright? Have I answered your question, sister? Hopefully, everybody were,
So,
you know,
yes, thank you
difference.
so much, Attorney.
And thank you very much. Then. I
Very
appreciate your
clear.
question. I
Yeah,
appreciate your
thank you so
question.
much.
Yeah, thank you very
Yes
much din
po.
po. So, but the student, let's read itong that's what I like here in grad school eh. Para tayong DJ dito. May mga phone in questions in our chat. Uh, but if the student is a minor, she would be in temporary insanity. Well, we cannot go into that. No, medyo iba na yan. What if the student would be insisting to continue attending classes despite pregnancy? So, there's this question. No? So for example daw, yung female student is buntis and she insists on going into the school despite the fact na buntis siya. Again, we recommend to our client schools, no, if this happen, that you provide in the house rules manual pa lang So baga, before they enter to the school, alam na nila na ito yung governing house rules and manuals natin. Dapat naka-in-place na yan before they enter to the school. And we suggest that pag in case nabuntis ang isang batang babae or isang estudyante, whether bata o hindi, the school should insist on having her lowa. Okay? And she could not insist of attending her school. Why? It is actually for the protection of the student and the unborn child. Kasi mahirap yun. Okay na papasok ka. What if may mangyari? Kasi remember the school and the faculty has a vicarious liability to the students. Ano man ang mangyari sa estudyante during the time na papasok siya sa school or pabalik siya ng bahay because nanggaling siya sa school, pananagutan ng school yan. What more yung dangers na may anak siya or may dala-dala siyang unborn child. Di ba mas peril ang kanyang life doon? And if we're going to expose ourselves as a school into such peril, di ba luging-lugi na school doon? So the student cannot insist on attending her school in such case if there is a house rule or it is expressly indicated in the manual of the school's handbook. Paano kung wala? The student can insist. Okay? Pero kaya nga sinasuggest namin as our clients, no, sa mga schools, na put it in writing para hindi na sila makagawa pa ng ibang ano, bulletproof na. Okay, yung manual nyo. Lagyan nyo na sa manual yan para just in case hindi nyo na magiging pananagutan yung whatever happens doon sa ano sa ating students. Yes, Miss Veronica Perez.
Yes, attorney, good afternoon po.
Good afternoon po, ma'am.
Bali yung itatanong ko po, ano siya? Yung mga estudyante na nagsi-self-harm, paano kaya yun, attorney? Kasi actually, hindi naman po siya nangyayari talaga. Ngayon lang na nangyari yung pandemic, may mga batang, yung naglalaslas, attorney, ng ano nila, katawan nila. So, paano kaya yun, attorney? Ano kayang pwedeng gawin kapag gano'n na yung bata nagsiself-harm? Kasi ang naging ano namin, practice namin, yung guidance po, sila yung nagsasabi na hindi muna sila pwedeng umattend sa school. I have an advisory student na gano'n yung ginawa niya. Tapos gustong-gusto niyang pumasok sa school, attorney, kaso hindi po siya tinatanggap ng gwardiya kasi nga mandated na hindi siya papapasukin. Pero nagiging negative yung ano, pagtanggap ng bata kasi gusto niyang pumasok. Pero ang reason niya bakit siya self-harm, naglalaslas ng braso, is sa family problem. Ano kaya,
Okay.
attorney, yung magandang ano?
In
Kasi
fact,
ako yung
yeah,
tinatanong nung bata.
yes po. Ganito po yan, no, Ma'am Perez. So, in fact, ito, yung mga suicidal, sorry, let me go into the topic now, no. Yung mga ganito, mental illness, kaya this is a topic that has been rising recently, no. I don't know why. Uh, although it's hard to say na, ay, kasi ganito, ganyan. Baka mamaya kasi parang ang pangit ng dating or sabihin mo, kulang ka sa dasal, kaya ganyan. So, di ba, pangit ng dating. That's why it's hard to dwell on these issues, especially if you're not an expert on psychology, no. But let me tell you this, no, on law, if there is a manual of regulations in our handbook that self-infliction, self-infliction, self-inflicted harm against yourself is a violation of the handbook. The school has, based on its academic freedom, to provide a proper sanction. Pero recently, because of this arising, ang nare-recommend namin sa school is to bring these students to guidance counselor because they are experts. Now, sabihin nyo na kayo ang tinatanong. Yun nga mahirap sa faculty nang nangyayari kasi advisory. Kindly address that to the expert. Sorry, I cannot address. We tell you this as I consider you na lang as a client. Okay? Kindly address it to the expert. Sorry, it is a school regulation. Sorry, it's for the guidance counselor. Talk to them. Because I cannot tell you I cannot tell you direct answers. I'm not expert at the subject matter. So, ganun ho lang ho ang sagot dyan. Kasi marami kaming naging clients na. Mga teachers mismo ang nagsasabi na, ay kasi ganito, tumulong lang ako out of my moral obligation. There might be a moral obligation, but the legal obligation of teachers is only limited to the teaching. Itong sa mga self-inflicted harm nila, suicidal rates nila, suicidal tendencies nila, give it to the experts. Kaya tayo may guidance counselor. Otherwise, wala na rin silang trabaho, di ba? Just, just to be fair enough for this faculty. Kasi the faculty already has their burden to teach the students. Pati ba naman yung mga ganyan personal problems nila, tayo pa rin ang, diba? Just for fairness, okay? I would suggest na ibigay nyo yun sa mga persons of authority. Okay? Now, for
Thank you,
the,
Attorney.
yes, pero if we have students or we have participants here na guidance counselor, how do I address that? I leave it to you. Kasi ako, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a guidance counselor. I'm just merely based on the law. And the law may be harsh, but it is the law. So, if there is a manual, and in our handbook there is self-inflicted harm is a violation of the school's uh, regulation, you impose the subject you impose uh we impose the proper stipulated penalties. Okay? The law applies to all or not at all. Sayang kasi it's the school's reputation as well Diba? So you rather be strict on it by the letters and the spirit of. Ngayon, kung meron siyang what if ganito, what if ganyan, let the expert do it. Let the guidance counselors do it. Okay? And it's personal nila yun Okay? And sometimes we also have to protect ourselves Sasabihin niya may problema siya sa pamilya. What if hindi? Diba? What if may fraternity siya. Kung sabihin niya self-harm lang yun. Pero, diba? May iba-iba siyang ginagawa. We don't know How can we protect ourselves as an institution, as faculty as well? Kasi everybody could tell us, malungkot ako may ano ako may tao dito. May depression ako But they are not clinically depressed, May kung ano lang nagagawa. Diba? But I'm not discounting the fact that there is a clinically depressed students. There are a lot. And in fact, that is troublesome. A lot of students are now facing these kinds of mental illnesses, clinically diagnosed. In fact, that is why school UST. Let me just share you that UST had instituted a certain department here in our campus to deal with these kinds of problems of students. And these are open not only for students but also for everybody. Parang UST pa lang yata nag-o-open ng ganito kind of department or institution that specializes on self-inflicted harms and suicidal tendencies of not only by students but persons. Nagiging problem na daw yan of today's generation. I don't know. Is it because of technology? I don't know. So I'm not an expert of this. All right? So, yun po. Yes, sister. Ano po ang may tutulong ko po ulit sa inyo. Sister, can you unmute? Di namin po kayo naririnig. Mag-unmute po kayo.
Again, good afternoon.
Good afternoon
With
po.
regards to Ma'am Veronica's concern, as a guidance counselor by profession, its class advisor has a responsibility also to attend to personal and social or emotional problems with our students. But at least when the student is showing trust to the class advisor has to attend to this child or student, because self-harming is a red flag for us teachers and class advisors that tell that there is a deeper problem inside the child. Maybe because usually with elementary or high school students, they are passing through the stage where they are feeling so down, depressed, and stressed. But simple hello, kumustahan will go a lot of effect on the child. So I before recommending the child to a professional, at least there should be a level of approach to be done by the class advisor, since the person is showing trust to the teacher or the class advisor. And it is really appropriate, according to attorney, that afterwards they can refer or ask the student, would you like to be referred to somebody who could attend to you with greater time than myself, because I am attending also to other responsibilities or works to do. But for us, it's really a red flag to attend to the student when there is really suicidal manifestation, because we cannot control that. Especially in our school, we have also levels, even among the grade school pupils, that they are really writing, I want to die, I want to die, and drawings that are all black, a red flag for us to attend to the child, and before referring it to the guidance counselors or to the religious like us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sister. So let me introduce you a case, no, na regards to, and later on we will be discussing itong bagong batas natin with regards to mental health. Okay, medyo nag-advance tayo because of these questions, no? But on the latter slides, we will be discussing itong mental health special law natin. The requirements of education institutions to provide health experts. Okay, because again, as ito mismo, batas na mismo nagsasabi na faculty already has a burden to teach ditong mga estudyante natin. Let's not give them more burden to dwell on their personal, and the school should have an expert on it. Okay, as these are problems faced currently. Okay, with regards to schools regulation, there's this actual case. Mukhang nawala dito sa slides ko, but let me share this with you. Okay, the schools regulation, let's talk about the manual. What would exist, no? Kumbaga, what would prevail? The school manual or yung kumbaga morality, or yung ano ba yung standards of ng school manuals natin? Still on the topic of academic freedom to provide who would be taught, how would be taught, what would be taught to students, exercising academic freedom of the school institution. This case is named Vivares versus St. Therese College. Baka alam nyo yun. St. Therese College yung sa may Banawe. And this student, actually, is a graduating student. College student siya sa St. Therese College. Okay? While waiting for the graduation rights, so graduating candidate for graduation na yung estudyante to. Babae siya, si Vivares. This is an actual case. You may want to Google it. So, pero during this time kasi pasimula pa lang yung Facebook na application. Alright? And while waiting for the graduation rights, nagkausap-usap yung mga friends nitong mga Vivares na to. Okay? Mga group of friends niya. And what happened? No? So, the group of Vivares went to Boracay. Okay? They went to Boracay, took some pictures, and then uploaded these pictures doon sa kanilang personal Facebook account. And in their Facebook accounts, okay, nakapost doon yung mga bikini pictures nila. Of course, they're in Boracay eh. Nagbe-beach sila. They are enjoying their life. They're already graduating. Waiting for the graduation rights. Marcha na lang inihintay. Okay? Nag-upload sila ng ganon. These pictures were seen by administrators of the school, even sisters of the school, and sanctioned that these students who had uploaded, kumbaga, they're half naked. Hindi naman talaga naked eh. Nakabikini lang. Mga two-piece, one-piece, mga ganyan. Pictures in Facebook. They sanctioned these students for penalty that they would not be able to join the graduation rites. They would receive their diploma, but they would not be able to march in the graduation rites. Aggrieved, the parents of the students filed a case against St. Therese College. St. Therese College contested that from the onset of their entrance admission, they were provided with a handbook that provided that any students of St. Therese St. Therese College will not in any manner wear revealing clothes, plunging neckline, more so bikini, and would be up and then uploaded into ano, whether outside or inside the campus. Students of St. Therese, while you are still a student of St. Therese College, you are not allowed to wear these kinds of clothes. Now, the students contested and the parents contested na, wait, first, outside of the school na yan. Second, these are pictures in Boracay. Third, it was uploaded in their personal Facebook account. Hence, the school has no jurisdiction to decide over the uploaded pictures. What did the court decide? The court said, Supreme Court na, umabot ng Supreme Court to. Vivares versus St. Therese. The court sided on the contention of college. Why? The student handbook, from the time that it was provided to the students and the and the parents, is has the force of law between the two parties. It is a contract between the two of them. And by mere entering into the school, by mere enrolling to such school, you are bounded to follow the rules and regulation. You made yourself obliged to follow the rules and regulation by the book, by the letter. Otherwise, such violation would be in violation of of the school practices. Eh, nakalagay doon sa handbook eh. The student will not be allowed to wear this. Nakalista, plunging neckline, kita daw ang cleavage, may skirts with above 3 inches above the knee, mga ganyan. Inside and outside of the campus. So, kahit nasa Boracay ka, eh, ang consideration of students is when you enrolled until you have graduated. Eh, hindi pa sila graduate. So, students pa rin sila St. Therese. Sabi ng Supreme Court, you students are in violation of the student handbook. Hence, the penalty imposed by the school is okay lang. It is allowed. It is sanctioned. I'm sharing this because this is an actual case. It's actually part of the presentation. Mukhang natanggal ang secretary natin. Pero why am I sharing this? I'm sharing this because contracts between the enrollees, students, the teachers, has the force of law between the contracting parties. What are the contracting parties? These three parties, the student, the faculty, and the institution itself. Yung student manual natin, has a force of law between these three parties. And violation of this of the student manual is as if violating the law itself. So kaya nga yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina, as long as it is provided in the student manual and it is a violation, the school may impose such penalty. It may be harsh, but they had agreed upon it eh. Provided that these manuals are not in contrary to law. Okay? Hindi dapat siya in contrary to law. What if the school manual provides na kapag ikaw ay nabuntis, kahit na sino, eh, expelled ka automatically. That's a violation of law. That could not be imposed. What if nakalagay, the school may impose LOA or leave of absence for 1 school year. Okay? For any students who would be incurring pregnancy. That is allowed. Kasi what is prohibited is dismissal, the outright dismissal of student because plainly of pregnancy. But if LOA lang siya, pwede. Eh what if dismissal due to abortion? Eh pwede yan. Because what is prohibited is abortion. What is prohibited is incurring pregnancy. Abortion, eh that's a different kind of story. Okay? So yun ang ano natin. Yun ang long story short ng ating tawag ito, ng case na yun. Vivares versus St. Therese of College. Then there's also a question of, this was uploaded on the personal account of the students. Okay? This also tackles the issue of privacy. Is Facebook account a private property? To tell you the truth, once you have uploaded a picture or whatever in the internet, that becomes part of the public domain. It is not yours anymore. For example, nag-post ako ng picture ko. Okay. Pwede bang gamitan ng FHM yung picture ko? Pwede, pwede. Kasi I uploaded it eh. It's for public use already. I have uploaded it. It could be used by any person already. Okay? Hindi na siya private eh. Sana kung private siya, only me na lang daw. Yun mismo sinabi ng Supreme Court. Sinalik mo sana only me. But you have uploaded it in public. So lahat ng tao nakakita niyan. So that is not a private property anymore. It is a public domain. So, kaya nga sinasabi ko rin, lagi, sa mga estudyante ko, be careful what you post. Okay? Mamaya magre-reklamo ko, ginamit yung mukha mo for something malicious. Eh, ginusto mo mag-upload dyan eh. Diba? You cannot do anything without because you inflicted yourself damage. Okay? Ayan, there's ano. I tried to search on the case. It says that although the students may value and seek privacy, they are also inherently motivated to participate in society and bound to institutional agreement handbook. Ayan. Thank you for sharing it for the class, no? So, yun, sinasummarize ko lang. I'm trying to summarize these cases kasi if you read the cases, it's very long. So, I'm trying to summarize these cases for your appreciation. So, yun ang sinabi ng Supreme Court. Okay? The students are, sana, they are contesting that this is a private account. We have the privacy. No. You shared it eh. You shared it to the public. Hence, the privacy that you are expecting has been lost. So, yeah. You violated the handbook. So, yan ang ano natin. Okay. Hopefully, we move on with this topic. Okay? So, what is best interest of student? Okay? Grounds when the school may refuse to admit. Kasi ang right ng student is to choose. Dalawa yung right of ng student, di ba? Based on academic freedom of the Constitution. To choose their profession, okay? Subject to fair and reasonable admission rules. And second, is to continue their education in such chosen field until graduation. Until graduation. So pag nakapag-enroll sila at na-admit sila, may right kami na tapusin yung tapusin yung course namin. Diba? Yun isa sa right nila. Na hindi pa pwede kaming tanggalin ng wala nilang arbitrary. Dahil pangit lang yung mukha namin, tatanggalin kami. Diba? Hindi. Pag in-admit kami, wala namang reason for us to be removed. We continue until graduation. So what are the instances when the school may refuse the admission of the student? Okay? Number one, requiring the female students to undergo home study or leave of absence from school until she has given birth for health reason. So again, yun yung sinabi natin kanina. Kung LOA lang yan, or yan, home study, mag-zoom ka na lang, that is not expulsion. Diba? For the best interest of the student and the unborn child, mag-leave of absence ka na lang muna or home study ka. Second, if the school, after assessment of her social emotional status, deem it necessary for her best interest and development. Okay? This is, again, still in connection with the Magna Carta. Ha? And third, due to hazards and risks that she may be exposed to while attending the course or program. Again, these rules provided by the Magna Carta of Women were provided by the law for the protection of both the students and the institution. Kasi kung whatever happened to the student, kahit pagpilitan niya, kaya ko, kahit buntis ako, pag pinagpilitan niya yan, whatever happens to her, the school will be vicariously liable. Ay hindi hindi lang isang buhay ang pag-uusapan natin doon. Dalawang buhay na yun. The unborn child and the mother itself, the mother student. Double whammy kayo dyan. Diba? So, religion practice versus school practices. So, there's a conflict of rights. The right of religion and academic freedom. Both freedom are protected by the Philippine Constitution. Okay? And both rights should be complementing with each other and should not compete with each other. But if there is a case na magko-conflict talaga yung religion ko, okay, and yung school practices, what would prevail? Which right will prevail? Okay? Let me tell you a case itself. Ito, case study itself to. Herona versus Secretary of Education. Ito. Ito is, let me just summarize this one. So, itong, ano natin, itong itong student na ito, and the school is a the school is a public school. Okay? So, as requirement in public school, since this is a public school, every morning, kailangan maging patriotic. We sing the Lupang Hinirang, and we raise our right hand to to declare the ating sumpa sa ating watawat, panunumpa sa watawat. Okay? So, dalawang activity ang ginagawa nila every morning. The Lupang Hinirang, wherein they place their hands at their chest, place on their left chest, on the heart. And then second activity is raising their hands, pledging allegiance to the flag. Okay? Kaso, may mga estudyante, since this is a public school, who are members of Jehovah's Witness. Okay? And these students, according to their religion, are not allowed to praise, to pledge before any other symbols, including flags. Hindi daw pwede. Ang ginawa pa ng mga batang to, okay, naglalaro during the time of flag ceremony. Hindi na tinaas yung kamay, hindi na nilagay yung kamay sa dibdib. Ang ginawa pa, naglaro pa. Nag-jack and boy, kung ano-ano pa. Aggrieved, the school authorities dismissed these students, okay, who were, however, members of Jehovah's Witness. Okay? So, they contested. Masyado kayong discriminatory. Porket ba Jehovah's Witness kami, we are, ganyan. Don't you know that we're just actually exercising our freedom of religious practice. Okay? The school contested that you might be exercising your freedom of religion, but the school is actually exercising its home rules and regulation. Being a public school, we are mandated by the DEX at that time, no? Okay? To provide itong na every morning magpa-participate lahat, faculty and students and even administrators in the flag ceremony. Okay? And violation of such would be sanctioned by a penalty. Maraming beses na. So, dinismiss na itong mga batang to. What did the court said? So, the court decided that there's no conflict between the two. There's no conflict between religious practice and the practice of the school. However, okay, in the guise of religious practice, the student violated the home rules and regulation. Ano yun? Bakit naging violation daw yun? If there is really a practice of religion, such religion should have respected the home rules and regulation of the school. Hindi naman na-require ng school na kailangan kumanta ka talaga ha, kailangan magmanumpa ka talaga ha. If it is a violation of your religion, hindi naman na-require namin na manumpa ka talaga or kabisaduhin mo yung lupang hinirang. But in fact, this panunumpa and pagkanta ng lupang hinirang is a requirement of being a Filipino citizen. If you're not doing this, then you're not a Filipino citizen. Whatever happens to you, walang pananagutan ng Pilipinas ha. So the justice system is not going to be for your accord. Yun ang sinabi ng Supreme Court. This is a basic requirement of being a Filipino. Okay? And violation of such under the guise of religious practice cannot be accepted by the Supreme Court. Hindi mo po pwedeng i-violate ang isang batas, okay, of being a Filipino just because under the guise na, religious practice ko to. Hindi daw pwede yun. A right of one ends at the tip of the nose of the other. So, kumaga yung freedom of your religion ends at the right of the school's administration. Okay? And the right of the others to respect such rules and regulation. Hence, the dismissal of these students are justified. So, yun ang ending dyan. Alright? So, mahaba eh. So, ayan. Inano ko na. Sinorkat ko na. Let's go to another issue at hand, no? What is moral issue and rules and regulation? What would prevail? Moral standards or standards written in black and white. So this is the case of Leius versus St. Scholastica's College, West Grove. Okay lang ha, explain ko na lang to without without prejudice. It just so happens na this had happened. So St. Scholastica, as we know, these are run by sisters. Okay, alam ko ano sila sa West Grove, parang, alam mo, sa Marikina ba yan? Hindi sila sa Manila eh. Okay? Yung sister ko is sa St. Scholastica's College of Manila. This is a different campus of St. Scholastica. There is a admin, cashier siya, cashier, employee ang St. Scholastica Manila. Leus ang pangalan niya. She is single. Okay, single siya. There's no legal impediments of being married. Single na siya, as in plain and simple single. And she has a boyfriend at that time. According to the rules and regulation itong St. Scholastica Manila of employees, a employee or a faculty are not allowed to have extramarital relationship. Yan ang nakalagay. Are not allowed to have extramarital relationship. However, this cashier, what happened? Nabuntis siya. Okay? Because of her pregnancy, she was dismissed outright by St. Scholastica College on the ground of violation of moral standards. Okay? That should be held by the institution being a Catholic institution itself. Aggrieved. Okay? Aggrieved. Sabi niya yung boyfriend ko naman, hindi naman din kasal. Okay? Wala naman legal impediment sa aming dalawa. Hindi lang namin afford magpakasal ngayon. And nabuntis niya ako out of pagmamahal niya sa akin, sabi niya. Okay? Okay, kasalanan ko ba yun? Is that a violation? May ninakaw ba akong pera? Ganyan. Wala naman daw. So, can the school on the premise of pregnancy alone may dismiss a an employee of the school? Employee lang to, hindi siya mere faculty. On the contention that is a violation of the house rules and moral standards of the school. Siguro dahil this is a Catholic school, they uphold a higher standards of morality. Okay? So what did the Supreme Court decided? The Supreme Court decided that the dismissal of St. Scholastica College of its employee, Deus, is a violation of the labor code. The Supreme Court recognizes the right of the school to have its own rules and regulation. Okay lang daw magkaroon ng rules and regulation ng isang school. However, the rules and regulation should not be in contrary to law, labor standards in particular. Labor standards provided, okay, the grounds on dismissal. Yung labor code natin, nagbigay sila ng standards of dismissal, just cause dismissal. Okay? Pag may nagnakaw ng pera, moral turpitude, in violation of any law, criminal acts, mga ganyan. Yung pagiging pregnancy on the ground of pregnancy is not one of the grounds provided by the labor code as just cause grounds for dismissal. Despite the fact of moral standards is not a question in law. Alright? What the law looks only is the letters and the spirit is provided by the law. Moral standards is subjective to each individual or entity. Hence, should not be accepted under the eyes of the law. So, in deciding this case, the dismissal of the cashier Leus was illegally done by the school. So, inaccept ng school yan. So, yan. Defeated ng school dito. So, it could not be in clash with each other. So, kanina, yung sa Jehovah's Witness na case natin, na naig ang school policy. Because you cannot violate the school policy in the guise of religious practice. However, in this case, next case, you cannot have a school policy that is in violation of the law naman, especially labor laws. Ayan. So ito, meron tayong, I don't know if I could share this. No, sir, what about if separated for 10 years? Is there still a ground for dismissal if the teacher will have a new affair? Again, we cannot dwell into the personal. The school cannot go after this personal affair of the of the of the of the faculty or the employee, no? Yung moral standards kasi ng isang tao is different for the moral standards of the other. Okay? For the grounds of dismissal, it only be subject to the grounds provided by the labor laws. Okay? So, yun lang. Hanggang dun lang ang grounds na pwede i-dismiss ang tao. Okay? Na pwedeng i-elaborate sa rules and regulation ng school. But these rules and regulation of the school could not go exceed what has been provided by the labor laws. So, hanggang ganun lang siya. Right? Okay. Later on, meron pa tayo isang case na medyo, ito na yon. This is a 1990s case pa. August 30 of 1990 case. If you were going to talk to me and ask me, is this still applicable? I don't think it's going to apply unless it is the same na Let me tell you this story. Medyo hold your braces Yung moral compass natin, medyo let's hold on this. Okay? This is Chua Kua versus Honorable Clave. Honorable Clave is the judge in this case. So there's this certain teacher, Chua Kua. Okay? Chua ang pangalan niya. Miss Chua pa lang siya noon. Okay, this is a female teacher who teaches high school in one Hantung High School. This is a Chinese school in Bacolod. Okay? So, Chua pa lang ang pangalan niya noon. There's this student na si Mr. Kua, lalaki, estudyante niya. Again, ang faculty is babae. There's an age difference of very large. 31 yung teacher, 13 yung batang lalaki. Okay? 13 nga ba o 15? I cannot remember anymore. Ayun, 16 pala yung lalaki. No? 16 yung batang lalaki. During that time of habang tinuturuan niya yung lalaki, nai-in love sila sa isa't isa. They don't have they don't have sexual affairs inside the campus. There's nothing sensual that happened inside the campus. Naging lang sila, parang lang. In fact, hindi daw obvious doon sa kanilang doon sa kanilang affair. Okay? Later on, basta gusto, parang dating is favorite nung lalaki, yung teacher. Yung teacher, normal lang. She's just doing her job. However, the teacher and the student were married later on. Nung pagka-graduate ng bata, nagpakasal yung teacher. Again, the fact is, yung teacher and yung student nagpakasal after the student graduated from the school. Pakasal sila. And the marriage was supported by the parents of the student. Gustong-gusto nung parents ng student na yan, ni Mr. Kua, yung teacher. Gustong-gusto nila. Chinese din yung teacher eh. Okay? So, again, different standards, different morals. Okay? Yung school, parang sabi nila, after having the knowledge, kasi nakita nila sa records, iba na yung pangalan ni Miss Kua. Ay, sorry, Miss Chua. Gusto na niya, Kua ang pangalan niya. So, pinapalitan niya ID niya. Sino tong asawa mo? Hindi mo sinabi sa amin na kinasal ka na pala. Later on, she announced na, ang naging asawa ko yung estudyante natin na si Mr. Kua. Na-alarm yung administration of the school. Nagpakasal ka sa former estudyante natin? Ha? Pakasal ka sa estudyante natin? Former estudyante natin. Dinismissed siya outright because of such. Knowing the fact na pakasal siya sa dating estudyante. And the age difference at that time, 30 years old si Miss Chua at the time of meeting Mr. Kua, while the student is just 16. Pero nagpakasal sila, 18 na si Kua. Graduate na nga siya nun eh. Okay? Because of that fact, dinismiss ng school itong teacher na to based on moral standards daw. What did the Supreme Court decide? Okay? Inapheld ng labor union, ng NLRC yung dismissal, ganyan. But feeling aggrieved itong teacher na to, nagpapa-reinstate siya. Okay? There's no violation according to her. Okay? We're just in love. And in fact, as an evidence of our love with each other, we got married, which was accepted by the parents. In fact, the parents were the one who sponsored itong pagpapakasal namin sa Bacolod. What did the Supreme Court decide? Sabi ng Supreme Court, walang ebidensya ng immoral acts. Wala nga kayong mapakita, wala nga witness na nagsabi, nag-sex silang dalawa dyan. This is how torrid the case was. Wala kayong mapakita na may ginawa silang affair dyan sa campus nyo during that time. And more so, in love sila, nagpakasal sila. Diba? What is the immorality done there? You just cannot accept the fact of the age difference, but that age difference is not immoral in the eyes of the law. Diba? So, walang ganun daw. Okay? In fact, the Supreme Court even quoted this statement. The heart has reasons which reasons does not understand. Ibig sabihin, meron daw dahilanan ng puso ng isang tao na yung utak natin hindi maintindihan, kaya sila nagkainlaban. Hence, the dismissal of this teacher is not acceptable. Hence, the school was directed to pay moral damages to this teacher. Napahiya yung teacher eh. Nagbayad ng malaki and back wages itong school na to because of what happened. So again, yung moral standards, as long as ano, hindi siya accepted by the court you know, as much as possible, we should not be grounding our claims on the basis of moral standards. Hindi siya ina-accept as standards. Okay? Is there any questions regarding this one? Okay, so we move on. So let's move to a new law. All right, this is a new law which partially na pag-usapan na natin, no? Yung tinatawag nating Mental Health Act or Republic Act 1136. Okay, ito yung sa Mental Health Act kasi there's a lot of provisions here, but we focus on the chapter 5 which relates to education practices. Chapter 5 section 23 requires integration of mental health into the educational system. Okay? Because our lawmakers had understood that this is an actual problem faced by students and education institutions and faculties in today's society to mental health problems. So Section 23 provides that the state shall ensure the integration of mental health into the educational system as follows. What are the requirements? Okay, age-appropriate content pertaining to mental health shall be integrated into the curriculum at all educational levels. So, habang bata pa sila hanggang college levels, ini-integrate natin from time to time itong mental health curriculum. Okay, that's why most of the schools nowadays, I would be confident to say that especially private institutions, okay, are hiring itong ating mga guidance counselors who has the obligation to take in part and participate in this requirement of the law to provide mental health education to these students and again also to the faculty administrations. And number 2, psychiatric and neurology shall be required subject in all medical and allied health courses, including postgraduate courses in health. So, yung mga nagkumukuha ng medicine sa atin, meron ng psychiatric pa yan and neurology as part of their curriculum. So, dinagdag sa course nila. So, kahit dentistry, meron na rin silang ganyan. So, yan. Pero yung particular sa mga schools, yung letter A natin, age-appropriate content pertaining to mental health. Okay, part na siya ng curriculum. Also, okay, education institutions shall, such as schools, colleges, and universities, and technical schools, kahit yung mga test schools natin, no, shall develop policies and programs for students, educators, and other employees designed to raise awareness on mental health issues. Okay? Identified and provide support and services for individuals at risk and faculty access, including referral mechanism of individual with mental health condition to treatment and sociology. Sorry for it's hard for me to pronounce it. Social social support. All public and private educational institutions shall require to have complement of mental health professionals. So this requirement under Section 4 requires all schools. Ito, I'm very confident itong mga private schools natin kasi talagang matindi ang pag ang compliance diyan ng mga ng private schools natin. On public schools, I'm not so aware of it, no. But they are required to have a guidance counselor. Okay? So, that would monitor the mental health of the students. And what I have said before, no, yung nagiging problem ng isang participant natin dito na as a homeroom teacher, sa kanya daw na ipapasa yung burden na kausapin yung bata. In fact, the law provides that it is not your burden as the faculty to talk into these people, to these students who are exposed to mental health. But your requirement, your obligation under the law is to refer these students to health professionals because again, the faculty are not professionally equipped to answer. So sorry to rain on the parade of one of our participants here na sabi ang homeroom teacher daw has also the obligation to talk to the students. No. Under the law, the homeroom teacher has the obligation to refer the students to the professionals. Let's not put the burden in our shoulders. Okay? Especially if the law had provided it. Una, baka mapalala natin. Sabihin natin, oh, ganito, kinausap ko naman, ganyan. Tapos, lalo lumala yung problema ng bata. Kasi we are not professionals. You understand, we can provide sympathy. Sige, sige, gawin natin sila, pwede sila mag-outlet sa atin. It's okay. It's our obligation as a homeroom teacher. But our main obligation, actually, is to refer these students to professionals. Okay? Referral ang kailangan dito kasi we are not expert on it. Yan ang madalas na nagiging case namin recently. Na yung homeroom teacher who is not a licensed guidance counselor ang nagsabi ng kinausap yung bata. And what happened? Yung bata suicide. Who is liable? The teacher. Hindi ka naman professional eh. Okay? The school is also liable. Why? Hindi nyo ginawa yung requirement ng batas to refer the student to the professional. Let the professional handle it. Okay? Hope everybody understand this mandate of the law. And I'm very strong and hopefully everybody commits to this. Okay? Because this is a problem that is being faced by I understand, mahirap to sabihin na syempre may closeness na kami ng estudyante ganyan. Pag may mangyari diyan, wag sana bumalik sa iyo. That's why we're contesting just to follow the law. But you refer it to the professional. What if yung doon tayo madalas nangyayari. What yung mga what if natin? Just follow the law. Refer it to the professionals. Now, whatever happens, okay? Kung ayaw ng bata, it's si bata na yan. But to protect yourself and to protect the school, refer it to the professionals. Okay? So next slide. Are guidance counselor considered as mental health professionals? To answer, yes. Okay, hindi kailangan psychiatrist talaga siya. These guidance counselors are those being referred to by the law. Okay, the implementing rules and regulation of the Mental Health Act provides the definition of mental health professionals, which inserted guidance counselor from the definition in the law itself. So, kailangan yung guidance counselor. Kailangan yan. Kumbaga, sa school, dapat isa yan sa mga highest paid professionals natin. Hindi lang yung mga guest professors natin, di ba? These are part of the requirements of the school already. Okay? Mental health professionals refers to medical doctors, psychologists, nurse, social worker, guidance counselor, or any other appropriate trained and qualified persons with specific skills relevant to the provision of the mental health services. Hindi kasama dyan ang faculty. Hindi kasama dyan ang cashier. Okay? Hindi rin kasama dyan ang principal. Okay? Refer natin doon sa mental health professionals. Next. Section 25 provides that promotion of policies in workplace. Employers shall develop appropriate policies and programs on mental health issues. So actually, ito isa sa mga pina-projects namin because of this new law, that to have our client schools, an additional policy, an additional manual with regards to mental health. What do we do when we see self-inflicting students? What do we do when we recognize a red flag? Okay? Tama naman yung sinabi ni sister kanina. Pag may nakita ka ng red flag, yan, it's your obligation to refer it already to the professional as a homeroom teacher. Pero do not dwell on it on your own. Okay? Do not tackle the red flag on your own. Refer it to the professional. Okay? Employers shall develop appropriate policies and programs on mental health issues. Correct the stigma and discrimination associated with the mental health conditions. Identify and provide support for individuals with mental health conditions to treatment and psychological support. Let me share you a actual case. No? Meron kaming isang case na nangyari dito. No? Mostly mga, ano to pagkakamali ng faculty, nadadama yung school. And this is a three-party, di ba? The student, the faculty, and the school. So what happened? Yung prof, ang sabi niya, hindi ako naniniwala dyan sa, mental health na sinasabi nyo. Okay? Dasal lang kayo. Ganyan. Di kasi kayo nagdadasal. So, nireklamo yung school because of the words of the professor. Okay? So, that is already a violation of this law. Hindi dapat yun. Hindi. Kasi there's this stigma and discrimination associated with the mental condition. What if it is really a clinically diagnosed depression? Marami dyan sa mga students natin ngayon, nakikita talaga to sa mga students natin, na-encounter natin. Bipolarism. Yan, that is an actual mental health condition. Bipolarism, meron pa yung severe anxiety condition, na meron pa Napoleonic something. But these are mental health conditions that the students cannot control on their own. Minsan, kailangan pa nila ng medication for them to be able to, normalize their state. Kakaiba. Diba? It might not be faced by our generation at our time, pero students of this time and era, ito na hinaharap nila eh. Diba? So, we should not be stereotyping these kinds of nung araw naman, di naman namin nararamdaman yan eh. Nung araw yun. Iba na yung panahon ngayon eh. Diba? So, regulatory framework for private schools. This is different from the mental health. So, yun. We finish ito sa mental health. If there's any questions, no? It is highly accepted. So, ownership of private schools. When we say private schools, it means privately owned and managed institutions for teaching and learning established, authorized by Department of Education to operate certain educational programs in accordance with the law and prescribed policies and rules of the Department of Education. Kailangan meron tayong authority, okay? Authority or permit to operate. DepEd ang nag-aano niyan kung or CHED. Okay? Education institutions other than those established on religious and missionary boards shall be owned solely by ito requirement, citizens of the Philippines or corporation or associated at least 60% of the capital owned by such citizens. So, ang rules dito sa Philippines, the school should be owned at least 60% by Filipino citizens. Okay? Congress may, however, require increased Filipino equity in participation of educational institutions. The control and administration of educational institutions shall be vested in the citizens of the Philippines. Exclusive yan sa Pilipinas. Okay? Mga private schools natin. Basic education. Yung passes childhood, elementary, and high school education. So, yun na. So, sa K-12 natin, yung kinder, elementary, as we all know it, and high school is now considered as basic education. When we say high school, senior and junior high school, all of these are basic education already considered as, this is merely a review already, considered as mandatory. Again, this is mandatory. All right? So, requirement of the permit. Ayan. Unauthorized. Just for those admin na lang. Admin issues. Kailangan authorized feasibility studies before you be able to establish itong school natin. Kung gusto nyo maggawa ng school, kailangan may feasibility study muna tayo. The site location of the school or the building, the cost of the project, kailangan may sufficient capital tayo. Hindi pa pwede sa garahe lang ng bahay natin. Okay? And development without reliance on student fees, kailangan meron tayong capital without even relying on the projections of iipon nating tuition. Okay? So, ganun ka-importante ang before we establish itong school. So, hindi madaling mag-establish ng school based on Department Order 88 of 2010. Kailangan may sufficient capital tayo. In fact, kailangan nagkaroon pa tayo ng feasibility study na kaya namin sustain yung school, okay, even for 5 years kahit napakakunti ng enrollees namin. Ito kasi, kaya that's why I included this. This is the actual problem that San Lorenzo Ruiz School in Quezon City had faced. Diba? Kasi hindi sila actual feasibility studies is what happened eh. Yearly, kailangan i-check yan. Otherwise, yung permit to operate na binigay ng DepEd would be raised. Okay? Then, on a regular basis, nagkakaroon ng inspection by the DepEd whether or not itong school na to is still in a going concern. If, kaya nga, ito yun nga, nangyari sa San Lorenzo, alam na nila medyo hindi na maganda, hindi na siya going concern. Kinontinue pa rin nila. Nangolekta yung San Lorenzo ng tuition, tapos, despite the fact na nangolekta sila, sinarado nila yung school. Diba? It is not good for the education system kasi kawawa mga estudyante. Okay? Before recognition, kailangan lahat yan mabigay. Okay? This ends our session for today. Thank you very much for having me. Again, there's still a lot of things to discuss with education practice, but hopefully this compilation of legal issues that we have been facing, kinompile natin as a, well, I was made of the honor to present this compilation of laws and legal issues that the schools are currently tackling. And I would like to discuss it for the furtherance of education kasi I know participants of this session are school administrators, school principals, or those who are faculties or going to be promoted, or even the faculties or staff, non-teaching staff, no, who would like to be equipped of this of this legal intricacies, so that they are now, kumbaga, when they face this kinds of problem, alam natin. I appreciate those who had asked questions. So we learn from these questions, diba? So yun. Thank you very much for having me. As part of the of checking of attendance, kindly type. So, wag muna tayo magta-type, no? Oh yes, we would be sending materials, no? We will be sending materials. Just wait in the email address. In fact, yung materials sinend na natin kanina lang. So, itong recorded session natin na ito would be forwarded later after we receive it. So, hintayin lang natin. So, as part of your attendance, kindly type your full name and dash present. Okay, full name dash present. Now, if you're, two participants kayo using a single account, type your both all of the participants' name, full name, then present. Ganun lang po. Send it on, no, not on direct message, but send it to everyone. Everyone, okay? Send it to everyone. Not as a direct message, but to everyone. Okay? That's a, itong chat kasi natin is being recorded as well. So, dito natin i-check yung ating attendance. Kindly again, type your full name dash present as part of our requirement and attendance. So, if there's no other questions, thank you for having me as your guest speaker for this session. Thank you very much. It is my honor and pleasure to be with you. And thank you again for those who had shared their experiences through chat, also what shared their experiences by opening their mic. No, so let's hear from Sister Maria Cielo Marikit. Yes po, go ahead po.
Morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon po, ma'am. Yes po.
Last week po, I was not able to attend your first session class.
Yes.
So, what will be your advice for you? Shall I attend another time that you have this
No,
time?
no, no. I would suggest that you email you po, but you have received itong ano natin, itong email coming from me.
It was just shared to me, but I did not really receive directly from you.
You did not receive it. Perhaps yung email you or were not included in the list, no? So I would suggest, no, sister, that you watch our previous meeting. Okay, it's recorded. Uh, Whoever had shared with you with the link would be also be provided with the link, no? So yun na lang. Let me type in my email address here, so that everybody would, if sister, if you cannot if you did not receive my email previously, kindly check itong email address ko na to. Let me share it with you. Wait lang ako, so that I'll send you an email of the recorded session. Majority of the participants here already received it na eh. So ito po, let me send you my email. crebatillo at ano to? spumanila.com .edu.ph. Let me type in my email address, crebatillo at spumanila.edu.ph. There. Sister, kindly send me an email in this email address. I'll send to you the materials and the 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 recorded video as well. Okay, of the previous meeting. Also, for the others, kindly check your spam kasi you might be saying na hindi nyo na-receive yung emails, but it is actually in the spam section of the email. Kindly check the spam emails as well. Alright? Double check. Kasi majority of the participants, I have their emails. I've sent personally the link, the Zoom link, and the materials. Okay, later after recording, I would be sending itong ating ano. Yes, other participants, let's first call on Joel Lara. Yes po.
I think I got your email na po. I was asking po sana if we have like legal consultations, like where can we contact you? You have given your email naman na po. So I think I'll just send you
Okay.
some inquiries.
Sure.
Thank you
So
po,
I guess
attorney.
thank you very much din po. Sir Randolph Likuwagan. Sir, any
Yes,
question?
good afternoon po, attorney. I just want to ask, kasi I'm a bit confused po. This is my first time attending your class, attorney. Kasi may sinend po sa akin. Is this also part of the MAED ELM program po ba? Itong class natin today? Or am I in a wrong session po?
I think it is a part of the session nga lang. Because
Okay.
I'm a guest speaker for the program, especially for the legal education. That's why
Opo.
I understand yung some other subjects nyo from Sister Feli is being conducted in a Google Classroom, but due to time constraint and technical difficulties, I am not able to do such material. So I'm conducting the session here in Zoom. Previously, we're conducting these seminars in hotels pa and sometimes in podiums in St. Paul University because of siguro in convenience na din sa mga estudyante. Zoom na lang ang ginagawa namin. But this is part of your program. So po. Ang requirement lang po, yes po, ang requirement lang po is again, your attendance, which is being done by for your full name dash present, type in into the message for everybody. This is being recorded, so yun po.
So,
yun lang po.
okay, moreover, attorney, what time po nag-start ng class today? Kasi ang alam ko po is 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock today.
It started on 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So after this po may next po kami? May next class po ba kami?
Ito na po yung second session natin. Last time was last week. So ito na po yung last session natin. Ito na po yung last session.
So there won't be any classes after this anymore po?
Yes, there won't be any. Yes, this is the last session already.
But we have started at 1 o'clock po. I was that late po now because I thought there were like two schedules po kasi today na I've read from the group chat na may 9 o'clock, then 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, then 1 o'clock to 7. So I was a bit confused.
I'm not so sure about the other courses, but I would just be able to say that, and for my particular course, it's 1 to 4 o'clock. Yung maximum namin is 4 o'clock, but I usually end it by 3. So the session was on January 20 last week and January 27. This is just a 2-day session, 1 to 4 o'clock. Yun lang po.
Kasi akala ko pa hanggang 6 o'clock ng hapon. So I also canceled some of my classes today though. So
apologies for that if that was if that was the message given to you. So pasensya.
Anyway, maraming salamat po, Tony. It was a nice session po. Salamat po.
Alright. So yun po. Sige. Thank you very much din po. So the PowerPoint was sent on a separate email for those who are asking. No? So yun po, for me to be able to again, ito po don't yun nga lang po nagse-send po tayo kasi ng different messages dito for those who would like to have if your email address were not included dun sa list of email address, kindly send an email address to me. Hindi ko kayang isa-isahin yung yung mag-message po dito. Send an email address to me. I have sent an email address. Kayo po mag-email sa akin po. Okay? So confirm nyo na lang po if you're not even able to send the if you're not able to receive a email address from me, kindly check yung spam natin sa email nyo. If still sa spam wala, kindly send an email to me. I have sent an email already. So, yun lang. Okay. Ulitin natin yung email address natin para Don't send your email here and expect that I would be emailing. No, I would not be doing that. I cannot do that. Okay. This is for the attendance. Just kindly type your name and then dash present. This is my email address, crevadillo@spumanila.edu.ph. Ayan po. I'm just a guest speaker here. So, yun ho. Hindi po regular faculty of the graduate school. St. Paul University of Manila. So, yun po. If there's any concerns pa rin ho, kindly ask Miss Amy. Yun po. Thank you very much. So, I'll be ending this session. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you, attorney.
Thank you,
Thank you,
attorney.
Thank you po, attorney.
Thank you, attorney. God bless you.
attorney.
Thank you rin ho.
Thank you, attorney.
Thank you ho. Thank
God
you.
bless you.
God
Thank
bless
you po, attorney.
Thank you po.
Meron pang hands na raised.
Attorney,
Yes, yes.
nag-send na po ako ng message po sa'yo sa
Yes,
email ko.
I'll check the email the emails.
Thank you po.
Thank
Sobra.
you very much. Thank you.